All right, Be'ezrat Hashem. So today we're going to be learning Perek Pehe from Hechal HaKodesh, from Rabbi Shmuel Elbaz. טוב. בראש חודש אלול, אמר הקדוש ברוך הוא למשה. הקדוש ברוך הוא tells משה, עלה אליי ההרה והעבירו שופר בכל המחנה. Come up to the mountain and blow shofar to the whole camp. משה עלה להר לקבל הלוחות, כדי שלא יטעו עוד אחר עבודה זרה. The purpose of the aliyah to receive the Torah, okay, is in order for Bnei Israel not to fall under the influence of Avodah Zarah. Now we've discussed about the concept of Avodah Zarah, at least according to the Rambam. Avodah Zarah was born through a lack of communication between generations. It's a disconnect of communication and informative speech between father and son. That was the reason behind the birth of Avodah Zarah. Why? The Rambam explains that he says it's impossible that any man that has common sense would bow in front of a piece of wood or in front of a rock. It just doesn't make sense. Take away the fact that there is the Yetzer Hara that Chachamim took away. That's later. Intellectually, it doesn't add up, right? So says the Rambam, what was the birth, the reason behind the birth of Avodah Zarah? He says that as generations were getting further and further away from Adam HaRishon, okay, they needed to have a conduit to HaKadosh Baruch Hu through something that's more emotional and more physical. But for sure, they were always praying to Hashem. So one decided that he was influenced and uplifted by the sun. The other one by a diamond, by the minerals. The other one by an animal. And that image gave them the power or the inspiration to pray to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. However, they did not communicate the reasoning behind the image that was in front of them to connect to Hashem, to their children or grandchildren. And what happened is that when the children and the grandchildren saw the grandparents bow or talk to the image or to the statue, they thought that this was God, when in reality, they were talking to Hashem, but they needed that connector, that intermediate. Says the Rambam, throughout generations, people started believing that this was a God. And that was the birth of Avodah Zarah. From this, we learn from the Rambam that one of the most critical mistakes humankind ever made, okay, that led to a disconnect, a disruption, almost a contamination of faith, was the lack of communication and explanation between the father and son. Okay? Rosh HaShana, Yom Kippur, okay, the second Luchot HaBerit are coming to basically do a tikkun of that mistake. Am Yisrael did Avodah Zarah, right, with the Chet HaEgel, when Moshe was late to come down in their calculation. Due to what? To a lack of communication between Am Yisrael to really convey and recalculate properly the timing. If there was a more fluent communication amongst the leaders of Am Yisrael when Moshe was in Har Sinai, probably we would not do Avodah Zarah. So here, again, we're going back. Moshe is going back to Har Sinai to get the Luchot HaBerit in order for Am Yisrael not to fall into this mistake of Avodah Zarah. So the Torah, which is a verbal Torah given to us, was given to us verbally so that we can convey it verbally. Also, yes, there is the luchot that are written, which is the 10 luchot. Everything else was given to Moshe Rabbeinu verbally, right? We have the 10 commandments that were written. Everything else was given from the mouth of HaKadosh Baruch Hu to Moshe Rabbeinu. And that has been passed on until Moshe had to write the 13 Sifrei Torah, right? For each tribe, and one that stayed with the Aaron HaBerit. And from that point on, we have the written Torah that we call the written Torah, which we know which is a Sefer Torah, and we have the Torah Shebe'al Peh, which is the vital complementary aspect of the Torah for us to be able to connect to the Torah. So if you want the tikkun that we're coming to do is a tikkun of communication with our beloved ones. The responsibility of chinuch, to be able to teach, to be able to listen, to be able to explain. Lehagid baboker chazdecha. You need to in the morning, you need to be lehagid is to say, but the word is not lemor, is not ledaber, it's lehagid. We spoke about it, about the definition of Haggadah. With Haggadah, why do we call the Haggadah? Because you have to be so explanatory that you have to be able to speak to the most mundane and lowest level child possible. Lehagid baboker chazdecha. If you're able to explain in such a low resolution or high resolution the chesadim of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, right? Then this is how you start your day. This is boker for you. The problem is that people live their lives in leilot. They live their lives in darkness.
So that's Birkot HaShachar.
The modeh ani, that's how you. That's how you start. Right. That's how you start. But that's how lagid baboker chazdecha. If you want your boker, if you want in your life morning, if you want sunshine, if you want hope, if you want daylight, then the chasadim of HaKadosh Baruch Hu have to be explained to a level of Haggadah. HaKadosh Baruch Hu nit'ala be'oto shofar. When the Am Yisrael blew the shofar, HaKadosh Baruch Hu elevated himself. Shene'emar, ala Elokim betruah. Elokim, the name of Midat Adin, Allah elevated itself. Betruah, with the shofar. Hashem, and suddenly we go from Elokim to Havaya. We go from Midat Adin to Midat Rahamim. Bekol shofar. Ala Elokim bitruah, Hashem bekol shofar. That's what we're going to be saying right before the shofar.
So you're basically asking Hashem to go from Midat.
Exactly. It's not this. It's like we're used, and we're going to go into details of how the structure of the tkiyot is. Yeah. Be'ezrat Hashem. But the point is that Ala Elokim bitruah, Elokim Midat Adin, the judge on Yom Adin, Rosh HaShana, there's a judge. Allah, he elevated it. Bitruah, and Hashem, he becomes Hashem, he becomes Midat HaChesed, he becomes Midat HaRahamim Bekol Shofar.
So you're calling out to Hashem and asking him to show the Rachamim side of him instead of the
That's
Midat
right.
Adin.
We tell him, stand up from the seat of judgment and sit in the seat of mercy. לפיכך תקנו חכמינו זיכרונם לברכה שיהיו תוקעים שופר בחודש אלול. This is why we have the minhag Sephardim, where we do the selichot, we're tokea the shofar. Some do, some don't. We don't go into that, but that's at least Moroccans, that's our minhag. Every time we say the Yud Gimel Midat HaRachamim, okay, we're tokea the shofar. We're tokea the shofar. ונהגו לקום באשמורת הבוקר, מראש חודש אלול עד יום הכיפורים. We wake up very early in the morning from ראש חודש אלול all the way to יום כיפור, ואומרים סליחות ותחנונים, מפני שהם 40 יום האחרונים שהיה משה בהר, מתפלל ומתחנן לפני השם למחול לישראל על מעשה העגל, נתקבלה תפילתו, ומחל להם והיו אלה 40 יום ברצון. He says those 40 days are 40 days where Moshe was able to turn over the judgment on Am Yisrael. That's when he brought down the Selihah and the Mechila of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Meaning, during those 40 days, there is a light that is called Mechila, forgiveness. Hashem showers upon creation his behavior of forgiver. And it's up to us to connect to that forgiving light behavior of HaKadosh Baruch Hu in order to be granted on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippurim the blessings that he wants to bless everyone. So comes the Echad HaKodesh and tells us HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants to give us, each and every one of us, Hayim, Beracha, Chokhmah, Torah, Yirah, Parnas, everything. What can you do?
You have to come take
it. There's an issue. There's a problem. What's the problem? It says you have din. You have to go through the judgment, right? So he can't. You want, but he can't. As Mausi, he brought to the world what is called the concept of mehila, the concept of pardon, the concept of forgiveness, and he awaits eagerly for us to connect to that behavior, so that he can unlock the shefa of bracha, chayim, that he's eagerly waiting to give us. So when it's incredible, because we think that, okay, I have to do a lot so that HaKadosh Baruch Hu can say, you know what, actually I'm going to decide not to give a punishment, but instead to give chayim. It's not it. HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants to give chayim, but he's handcuffed. So here we have 40 days to unlock the gates of beracha of chayim through what? Through the tefillot, through the selichot. He says, those are days of ratzon. And since Moshe was successful, so for us, we emulate the behavior of Moshe, the tefillot of Moshe Rabbeinu, and we are promised that there is a desire, an eager desire of HaKadosh Baruch Hu to free himself so that he can bless us with brachot. So when we go into Rosh Hashanah, we have to know that Hashem is eager. He wants to bless us. He's not here. It's not a judge that doesn't know. I don't know. Let me see. I'm going to see how. No. I want to. Just allow me to. And that's the teshuvah. So on one end, we enter Rosh Hashanah with tremendous happiness because he wants to bless us. He wants to give us the best. But there's also a mix of fear and am I going to unlock or not? So it's not a fear in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's a fear in our behavior. Am I going to do the right work? Am I going to behave properly so that I can unlock what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants to really give me? You understand the perspective of Rosh Hashanah? It's very important because most people, they think that there's a guy with a stick and pack, and no. He's there. He's there waiting for us. What we have to fear is, are we ready or not? Do we have the key to unlock it or not? He continues and says the following. מפני שימי ראש השנה ועשרת ימי התשובה שהם ימי הדין קרובים לזה, he says also the reason why we do selichot and we get ready is because Rosh Hashanah and Yom Adin and Yom Kippur, it's 10 days, very intense. And if you're not ready on Rosh Hashanah emotionally, and you're not focused properly, in a matter of 48 hours, finished. It's gone. You cannot expect to go to shul and just be in the mood. No. You have to prepare the mood. You have to prepare yourself. If you're not ready, if you don't enter Rosh Hashanah ready emotionally, spiritually, and it's all baked and cooked, don't expect something to happen on that day and do what you're supposed to.
You could apply that to anything in life,
And
even on a very small level. Like the concept of entering your home a certain way, preparing yourself emotionally to see your kala, your wife, instead of just walking into your house, could change the trajectory of your whole marriage.
You remember the story of my grandfather, the switch?
Yeah.
That's exactly it. Exactly. It's all preparation. It's all preparation.
Everything.
Yeah. Actually, with Andy, listen, I throw a line. We did a Chanukah Bayit to a building of a dear friend of Andy. He blessed me to introduce me to him. You met him. Ari Financial.
Yeah.
Okay. So you prayed with his son then. Yeah. So I threw and I said, failing to plan is in itself a plan to fail. Okay, this is Rosh Hashanah. This is the message. So he says, because Yom Adin are so intense, anu mefahadim, we are fearful, we are scared. Miyom Adin, umakdimim, and therefore, because we're so scared and we don't know what to expect, how do we know on that day that we're going to be
accepted?
No, forget about accepted. Focus. Ready. Focus. No. You can be as ready as you want, but you know that day distracted. It happens. You don't know what to expect. You don't know emotions. It's not. You're not in a cave on your own. You have a wife. You have kids. You have this. You have a lot of items going on. Okay, so you don't know if you're going to be al memenuhat. You're going to be focused. It's scary. We don't know. Right?
Yeah.
Go home, take care of the wife, bring the child to the school, shul. I don't know. What are you thinking on Rosh Hashanah during the Tkiyat Shofar? Do you know that you're going to be able to control your thoughts? We don't know if we're able to. Pachad. So he says, Magdimin Selichot v'Tahanunim 30 yom kodem Yom Adin. 30 days before, we get into the mood. Slowly. One day, another day. Why? Ki aryeh sha'ag milo yara. Says when the lion rouse, everybody gets fierce. Yeah. Milo yara mi yom adin. Says who in their right mind are not worried from Rosh Hashanah. Lekach na'agu gam ken leit'anot bahem hayechidim. And this is a minhag that most, the Yereim, that the fast people, Chachamim, they fast from Rosh Chodesh Elul all the way to Yom Kippur every day, every single day. And if you have Yirat Shamayim and you fear HaKadosh Baruch Hu, at least מתענה ביום שני וחמישי לפני בו יום הגדול. You fast Mondays and Thursdays before Rosh Hashanah. Monday, Thursday. וזה סדר הסדר קוראים בהקשות, and he goes into the breakdown of the slichot that we say. With this, he concludes the Perek Pevav. Erev Rosh Hashanah. We're good, no? So Erev Rosh Hashanah. We don't do Tahanim. We're good. He says, Ubiyom Rosh Hashanah u'b'Shabbat benatayim en lit'anot klal. He says we don't fast on Rosh Hashanah and we don't fast on the Shabbat that is between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. Ochlim, shotim, semechim. On Rosh Hashanah you have to eat, You have to dress well. You have to drink beautiful wine, new clothing. And Shabbat between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, also very important. Ki mitzvat onek Shabbat. Listen to this. Vesimchat Yom Tov. If you know how to enjoy your Shabbat and you're happy on Yom Tov, and we're going to explain why you're happy on Yom Tov. Listen, Gedolim, the Simcha of Yom Tov and the enjoyment of Shabbat, that's every Shabbat, is much higher. Brings you much more than if you fast days and days to connect to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And whoever is enjoying and is happy when he does a mitzvah, it has a stronger and a bigger kapara than somebody that fasts. So the impact of being happy when you do a mitzvah brings you a bigger influence than if you fast.
And why is that?
We're going to get to that. ומצוות עונג שבת ושמחת יום ראש השנה נוספת לאדם על מזבח להכריע קו זכות המבטל סליחה. And he says the simcha that you have on Rosh Hashanah of Yom Tov, okay, and the simcha that you have on Shabbat in between has so much power that he can take someone that should be judged chas v'chalila in an unfavorable way and flip it to favorable. Why? When you fast, you're approaching the king out of fear. You're pushing forward your flaws and addressing them from a place of fear. This is why you fast. When you are besimcha on Yom Tov, you don't approach the king from a place of flaws and fear of the flaw. It's from a place of love and acknowledgement of the joy of the chance we have to serve him. Right? So you have two people serving the king. One serves but has in front of him all these mistakes, right? And the other one serves, but he has in front of him the pride of serving the king. The king will approach, will treat you the way you approach him. If you approach him with fear, he will treat you with fear, according to your fear. And you want to address your averot, no problem, we'll address your averot. This was on Rosh Hashanah. We don't do tahanunim, right? When do we do teshuvah? We do teshuvah during the Tkiat Shofar, and we think we don't say a word. Yes, Yom Kippur is Yom of Kaparat Avonot. But Rosh Hashanah, we don't say anything. It's not a day where we address averot. It's a day where we celebrate our intimacy and our relationship. For that, says the Echal HaKodesh, if you are connected and you are aware of the pleasure and the merit and the pride of serving HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to the eyes of Hashem, it is the greatest honor you can give to the king, is to show him how proud you are to serve him. The Gemara in Masechet Rosh Hashanah says, say before me Malchuyot, verses of praising him as a king, so that you make me a king, and by making me your king, now as a king, I can overrule anything. As a judge, I cannot. As a king, I can. So we need to make him a king on Rosh Hashanah, so that we give him the power to overrule on any negative and unwanted judgments. How do you make him a king? By showing him how how honored you are to serve him. And if you really are proud to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you have to be happy. You have to Rosh HaShana, especially, Yom Tov is a day where HaKadosh Baruch Hu brings a new part of himself. He gives a part of himself and he injects it into your neshama, and it stays with you forever. Every Yom Tov we grow, our neshama grows. To the contrary of Shabbat, where we have a neshama coming in and Motzei Shabbat coming out. This is why Havdalah of Yom Tov, we don't say Borei Minei Besamim, because there we don't have a part of the neshama that it stays with us. והמבטל עונג שבת ושמחת יום טוב, and אם חס ושלום, during Rosh Hashanah, the person is sad, the person is not happy, the person is angry. That's also, we're very, very careful at the Kabbalah, and Chachmei Musa say, Chaz v'shalom, we have to be angry on Rosh Hashanah. We have to do our best not to get distracted, to be upset or sad, or it sets a tone. Chaz v'shalom, yeah. He says, if somebody is not besimcha and he's not enjoying Rosh Hashanah or the Shabbat before Yom Kippur, he brings in front of this is an avera that brings in front of HaKadosh Baruch Hu all his averot. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu now focuses only on his averot. And he couldn't go from good to bad. This is the power of the Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur that we have. So it's what do we bring? What are we bringing in front of you? Are we bringing in front of you our simcha and our pride to serve you, and then there's only the good, or are we bringing in front of you the avera of the burden of Yom Tov or the anger, which is the Pandora box that opens with all the averot?
But that work starts all year. Right?
Sorry? Yeah, but when you're in front of the judge,
I understand, but it's much more difficult if you're more prone to anger throughout your year.
Avadai,
right?
That's for sure. That's why we work on the midot all year long.
Right.
Zevadai. That's for sure. But on a day that's so critical that will determine that your entire year, it's a huge chidush. Like,
sure.
You're telling HaKadosh Baruch Hu which book to open.
But aren't you supposed to extract from that more about how you're supposed to live just daily, right?
Absolutely.
Then because if you're a person that's prone to anger, right, you can read this and you can say, great, okay, I don't want to be angry on Rosh Hashanah, but it's not going to be so easy. Right?
Absolutely.
Because one thing's going to happen.
Absolutely. Hashem Yishmor. Yes, you're right. This is setting the tone for your behavior all year long.
And it tells you what Hashem really
expects wants from you all year long, all the time. This is just a compass that shows you the direction. But it's the beautiful chidush here that the Echad HaKodesh is bringing is basically telling you again, you go to Hashem and say, here, this is the book I want you to open. You're telling him, open the book of judgment and din, or open the book of Rahamim and Chesed. Depending on you. So we cannot prepare. We should not prepare. Majnun, the one that does not prepare himself. Majnun is meshuga legamre, me'abed atzmo badar.
That's our relationship with Hashem. It's a mirror. Hashem says, "I'll treat you how you act to everybody else." Right? It's you're going to be angry with other people. You're not going to forgive them.
Everything.
However you like it. I don't want it for you. But if that's how you want to be,
Hashem judges you the way you judge others. 100%. But now it's coming to light, not only in the way he behaves with you on a day-to-day, the way he will dictate how your year will look like. The entire year. And now he goes into all the Yehi Ratzon. לעולם יהיה אדם רגיל לאכול בראש השנה, where we do סימנים. It's a joke. רובייה, ראש כבש, who are we fooling? שיהיה לנו חודש. Yes, it's putting us in a mood. It's addressing the siman. The siman is bringing you, it's putting you on the path. On a path. Rosh Hashanah, I told someone when I was in Morocco, he wanted to prepare us food. I said, look, Tzaddik, I said, look, Habibi, yeah, we're so complicated that we're very simple. We don't need nothing, so we're very simple. Rosh Hashanah is so complicated that at the end it's very simple. It brings you back to a level of simplicity and humility in your behavior that if you know how to focus properly, Ashrecha ve'ashrecha likach. And he goes into all the Yehi Ratzon that we all know. And then he says, okay, now why Rosh Hashanah? Why Hashem chose Rosh Hashanah, the first Tishrei? Now, according to the Torah, Tishrei is the 7th month. Because we start from Nisan. The first month, when you say Chodesh HaRishon in the Torah, the first month, we're talking about Nisan. Yetziat Mitzrayim, right? Vehat oznecha ushma divrei chachamim velibecha tashit hadat velavin divrei ele shehem divrei Elokim hayim. Sorry. וסודות מסודות ספר הזוהר ועליהם סובבים כל המצוות הנוהגות בחודש הזה. It's like once we put in perspective the reasoning behind the 7th month, then you will understand a lot of things in the mitzvot of that month. It says, ביום ראש השנה נברא אדם הראשון. כי הוא יום השישי לבריאה. Rosh Hashanah is the 6th day of the creation, which is the day that Adam Rishon was born. We know that on the day that he was born is the day that he sinned, right? Erev Shabbat. Bekav Heb Elul, on the 25th of Elul, HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the world. It's interesting how it can be the 25th of Elul, and which was the first day of the Sheshet Maaseh Bereshit. Ubayom shenivra Adam HaRishon chata. The day that Adam HaRishon was born is the day that he sinned. Ve'amad badin, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu judged him on that day. Ve'amar lo HaKadosh Baruch Hu ata siman lebanecha. You are now the siman of all humanity. He was born the day he sinned. He was born. HaKadosh Baruch Hu brought Adam HaRishon to life on the 6th day, right? And Erev Shabbat, and on that day he already had sinned. On that same day, if he would have entered Shabbat without sinning, Chachamim tell us we would have had Olam Shekulo Tov. But he sinned. He sinned on that day, and that day is the 1st of Tishrei. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu told him, you sinned on that day, and I judged you on that day, and I pardoned you on that day. That would be the day I will judge all humanity. And this judgment is a judgment based on actions. I will judge their actions. For this reason, Rosh Chodesh Tishrei, which is Rosh Hashanah, is the Yom Adin La'olam. The Zohar Kadosh brings another answer. He says and it's based also on Sefer HaYetzirah. Number 7, the 7 is Kadosh. 7, anyway, Shabbat is 7, Shevi'it is 7, Yovel is 7. Right? The number 7, the cycle of 7, right, is holiness. HaKadosh Baruch Hu reveals himself on a complete different level when the number 7 is in the world. When 7 comes to the world, Hashem reveals himself on a complete different level, much holier level. The 7th month is Tishrei. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu reveals himself on the 7th month. We're going to stop here because we're going into a Zohar that's actually very, very long. Al Pi HaKabbalah, basically what is happening, just so without going to the why, okay, too much, but on Rosh HaShana, the reason why Rosh HaShana is a Yom HaDin is because the Bina, we know we have the Chokhmah and then we have the Bina. The Bina is called Em HaBanim, the mother of the Sefirot, of the Banim, stops the flow of the Shefa that comes from the Ein Sof and from the Chokhmah, goes into the Bina, and normally it continues to flow from the Bina to the Chesed, Gvura, Tiferet, shuts down the pipeline completely, and will channel directly her focus on the Midat HaGevura, which is judgment, and the Midat HaMalchut, which is also judgment. Okay? And this is the 2 days of Rosh Hashanah. Dina, the first day is harsh judgment, and the second day is called Dina Rafia, is the soft judgment. So we have Yitzhak, which is the Gevura in the Sefirot, right? Avraham is Chesed, Yitzhak is Gevura, right? So we have Yitzhak on the day 1, and we have Malchut, which is David HaMelech, on the second day. And the Midah of David HaMelech is the softer Midah. Midat HaGevura, which is Yitzhak, is the stronger Din. Is a stronger Din. And now, these 2 days, if you will, is the 2 ways HaKadosh Baruch Hu is approaching Am Yisrael and the world. Now, based on that, we're going to see this is the Shvarim and the Truah. We're going to see how the Tashrat, right? We're going to sandwich Yitzhak and David HaMelech with a Tki'ah, which is Avraham, which is Midat HaChesed, and Yaakov, Midat HaTiferet. We're going to see how we're going to shrink. Basically, we're taking those Midat HaDin, we sandwich them with Chesed and Tiferet, which are mercy and kindness of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And then we take both of them and we break them apart. This is why we have Tashrat, Tashat, Tarat. We're taking Midat HaDin. First, we sandwich it with Chesed and mercy, kindness and mercy. And then we take them and we split them apart and we sandwich them with, again, Chesed. That's what we have the 2 sets. And then we're going to do the same thing during the Amidah. We're going to see that the Amidah also is all about the separation. This is in the Musaf. In the Musaf, what we do, okay, is we implore Malchuyot, Zichronot, Shofarot, right? And we imbibe, we flood the Sefirot with kindness and mercy with Avraham and Yaakov throughout the Tefillah, so that, and this is basically what happens when we say, okay, Ala Elokim B'Truah, Hashem on that day de facto is Elokim. We say Ala Elokim B'Truah with the Teruah, Hashem B'Kol Shofar, but when we separate them, he becomes Hashem. So the whole avodah, which we will be Hezrat Hashem seeing, is that we're and by the way, and now we're rebuilding the olamot. We're rebuilding the olamot every day for 10 days, for 10 sefirot. Okay, we're going to be showering the presence of HaKadosh Baruch Hu and rebuilding all these sefirot that were not allowed to receive the presence of HaKadosh Baruch Hu since the Binah stopped the showering, cut the showering, and we were going to start flooding again and reviving all those sefirot, all those different ways HaKadosh Baruch Hu behaves with creation. So, depending on how much you rebuild your pipeline, will be the way you will be able to be blessed with the presence of HaKadosh Baruch Hu throughout the year and be able to tap into different pipelines. So basically, if you will, we become plumbers. From Rosh Hashanah until Yom Kippur. Yes. We become the plumber to restore our own individual pipelines so that throughout the year we can tap into different ones and be blessed with in different ways. And then, by the way, that goes all the way to Shemini Atzeret, because you rebuild it, and then after that you actually bring down the Shefa. So this is a highlight on Rosh Hashanah, on the Avodah to get to Rosh Hashanah.
I missed you.
I miss you too, I miss you too. I miss you
we
guys
are
all.
finishing Shira Shirim. I got worried, for sure.
No,